Good evening, live, and it is finally Thursday, just past 9 p.m., and the weekend is fast approaching. And the Indianapolis Colts are the best team in the NFL. And I felt rather stupid, like that reporter who Daniel Jones quite rightly put in his place. We didn't know much in June, and sometimes you just have to hold your hand up and say we were wrong. As Daniel Jones is playing at an MVP rate, Jonathan Taylor is playing at an MVP rate, the offensive line is playing at an MVP rate, Tyler Warren, I'll get realistic, he's playing at a rookie year rate. So, joining me tonight, the usual faces as we deep dive into the AFC South. This is our Thursday show where we focus more on the AFC South. Monday night is the roundup show where we talk about the rest of the league because let's be real, the Colts are putting the league on notice, and people are finally, although I'm getting quite scared because the trap game's going up, but people are finally putting us in the right place. Nathan, Ed, welcome.
Yo, good evening, mate.
Let's go over the scores on the doors then. The Colts are currently sitting top of division, 6-1. I believe we're 6-0 in the AFC, 5-0 because we played two NFC teams. I believe. No, Chargers are AFC. What am I thinking?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't lost in the AFC yet. Touch wood. We've just come off. Like I say, apparently the Colts only beat rubbish teams anyway, so the Chargers is crap. The Texans the Jaguars sit behind us at 4-3 because they just lost in London, and Liam Cohen is finally finding out, like the rest of us had known, that Trevor Lawrence is the most overrated number one pick of all time. The Texans struggled to find any form after their bye week, and it's looking like a hot mess down there in Houston as they lost to, I'll be fair to them, a very good Seattle team. I believe it was like 27-19 or something like that. And the Titans coming up, oh boy, if there was a bigger trap game to come up, we see it as a derby game. I suppose over here in Europe, you would call it or refer to it as a derby game. And as we all know from other sports we watch, when it's a derby, everything goes out the window. So who wants to go first on the AFC South this week?
Yeah, you can go for it.
Where we starting with the Colts, or?
Yeah, we can start with the Colts, mate. You brought them up, not me.
Let's start with the Colts. Yeah, I just think that finally it looks like, I think you just said it there in the opening, Harrison, it finally looks like people are starting to take the Colts seriously. It's a bit frustrating that it took a game against the Chargers for people to maybe look at us more seriously. But that's a really good football team that we beat on Sunday.
Very good.
Really good football team. Watched the game back again today. A few things that really impressed me. Not only was the offense elite, again, the defense wasn't actually as bad as when I watched it on Sunday, and I thought that my arse was going to fall off towards in that last quarter when they started sort of driving down the field. It wasn't as bad as I thought. Bit frustrating on some of the conversions that we allowed, sort of third and long, couple of fourth down conversions that we allowed again, which is frustrating. And the other thing that I noticed I picked up on watching the game back again, apart from Herbert having a career day, really, he threw for over 400 yards, which is just ridiculous, to be honest. We couldn't really get near to him. So I looked back. I know, Nathan, you've been really vocal on this. I think you're right about the Colts getting the pressures, but not necessarily sort of getting home. And I think that's absolutely right. When I watched it back, that shows up again. The Colts got 37 pressures to Herbert, but only 3 sacks.
It's crazy.
And Herbert's time to throw, which is one of my favourite stats to look at, was over 3 seconds, which in the NFL is an age. So that concerns me that we've gone up against, look, we've won the game. We've won the game. Let's not, and that's because our offense is just amazing. But when we're faced with a real elite quarterback, and Justin Herbert, I know people argue about where he sits in the sort of elite, not elite, and I'm not going to get into that tonight, but he's a very, very good quarterback. Everyone can at least agree on that.
Yeah.
And he really kind of took us apart. And that worries me sort of moving further or looking a little bit further ahead. That's kind of one of my big takeaways from the game. I don't want to start. I know that sounds a bit negative to start, and I'm sorry.
Well,
I would say again, like I say, the offense was incredible, but and Nathan, this might strike a chord with you. To look, if I compare the Colts to a different type of football, and everybody's second favourite team in the 90s, Newcastle United, and their amazing, we're going to score 4, you're going to score 3 kind of approach, it gets you so far, and it gets you a lot of friends. But ultimately, what did Newcastle win in the 90s? And that's, I don't mean that to be disrespectful, but that's that approach only gets you so far. So I do think that we do need to kind of consider that moving forwards. The only other thing I want to say, and then I'll shut up, is Daniel Jones was incredible.
Yeah.
He played so well. So I went back and looked because I saw this stat. I think I saw it on the Pat McAfee show, and I had to go look it up again just to make sure I saw it right. So under pressure this year, because he's been incredible playing under pressure, Daniel Jones, which is not like Daniel Jones. So under pressure, this is the stat tree. His quarterback rating under pressure, according to Pro Football Focus, is 91.8, which is the highest QBR rating since they started recording that metric under pressure. To give it some context, because I'm just saying numbers here, last year when Josh Allen got MVP, his pressure, when he was under pressure, he got a rating of 83.5 and he got the league MVP. Wow. So Daniel Jones is currently playing at an MVP level. Okay. On top of that, when pressured on 3rd and 4th down, Jones has thrown for 14 first downs. Mm-hmm. And where was the other stat? And he's also thrown 5 touchdowns when under pressure this year. And second in the league again is Josh Allen with 4. So the point I'm trying to make here is Daniel Jones is playing at a level that I don't think any of us thought was capable of, if we're being totally honest. But he has been unbelievable. And again, just to throw the final bit of context into that, so his rating under pressure, again, 91.8. The league average is around 27 under pressure. Mm-hmm. That's how good Daniel Jones is playing at the moment. And I think, obviously, can he carry on? We don't know. That's like anything. Hopefully he does. If the O-line carries on playing the way it does, then, and the scheme keeps sort of working the way it has, then I'm sure he can. But I just wanted to kind of bring that to the table, that we've all been talking about how good Daniel Jones is, but that's elite. Like, that's like elite, like the best in the league. That's like unbelievable.
Top percentile, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And I just think that is absolutely just Daniel Jones, man.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Well played, sir.
I really hope the balloons are going to pop up there.
Mate, I don't know how I did that. I still don't know how I did it.
I think I could put it any better than Ed. I totally agree that the league is starting to take notice, but there's some people who are still not quite there. Literally, I was eating my food earlier and was watching the NFL, I think it's NFL Game Day or something. They do like the Sunday recap, and then Sky Sports just play it like 4,000 times in a week.
Favorite program, yeah.
When the Colts and Chargers game came up, everything was from the perception of Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers until they made out like, if you go watch it, right, they make out like this game is really close, and then Jonathan Taylor scores 3 touchdowns in a row to win it. I was like, what kind of agenda is that?
Yeah, that is.
Like, to put it into context, like, whoever produces that show, right, the Colts have scored 232 points for this year so far. That is more than the Texans and the Titans combined. Right?
Yeah.
We we have conceded 140 points. The Texans have conceded 88, and the Titans have conceded 192. Like, why are people not taking notice of this? Yeah, it does feel like a bit of a trap game, but watching the Titans last week, this is no disrespect, but they were dreadful. I thought Cam Ward was absolutely dreadful. He does not take care of the ball at all. I think that's a huge coaching point, and a little bit of trouble they're going to have to go through with him for probably a year or two. And I get it. He's scrambling like, road runner behind our offensive line. And he will be doing it again this week. I have no doubt about it. Ed came in with the numbers. If we're generating 37 pressures against a good, obviously, protection scheme, but an injured Chargers line, then, could we see 40, maybe 45 coming on Sunday? Look, I'm gonna lead with what I said on Monday, and that's that I think right now we need to enjoy every single week and every single play. And I'm not gonna fall for the thought that it is a trap game. I'm gonna go in with my heart on my sleeve that we're gonna take care of business this week, and it's home too. So, what better reason to do it?
Yeah, exactly. So, let's pick apart a few of them points you both brought very excellently there. I've been thinking a lot about this, right? Because when you win and when your team's good, you want to take in every piece of content out there. Like Nathan's just said, you want to enjoy it. You want to watch all the fan reactions. You want to watch all the engagement and everything, because it's great, right? It's part of the modern day game to absorb content when you're good and try to hide away from it when you're bad.
Which is why I've not watched Match of the Day for about 5 years. But
which is, as Colts fans as well, we're no stranger to turbulent seasons at best of times. But anyway, so let's pick it apart a little bit, right? The Chargers, considering we play no good teams, by the way, we beat Denver. We beat ourselves against the Rams. We beat the Chargers. We just don't beat good teams. So let's remember this as we talk about it. The Chargers, the number 7th overall defense, and Shane Steichen, Daniel Jones ripped him to fucking shreds. Pardon the language, but absolutely tore him apart. And Jim Harbaugh, who, as Colts fans, we would all consider one of the greats in coaching and playing, he didn't know what to do. He did not know what to do. And I think, so let's look at I'll look at our offense first, because I've got a couple of points for our defense. But our offense first, it's quite simply brilliant so how many times have we said over the years, Jonathan Taylor is elite, but every time he's going up against a loaded box, because Matt Ryan isn't running it, Joe Flacco isn't running it. Like, RPO with them two is like, it's just an R. There's no, you know what I mean? So, we had a struggling, I wouldn't say struggling, but not a cohesive line. It was just mainly Nelson, and everyone else was struggling a little bit. And, it's just, for what Shane Steichen's done is, if you're a defense and you're a defensive coordinator, who do you take away? Because you can't take away everyone. Do you know what I mean? And fair play to A.D. Mitchell, who I thought actually come up big with a catch. Was it? I can't remember. It was late in the game. He come up with like an 8-yard catch.
It was fourth quarter. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Which shows learning and development, and that's the whole point, right? I also think Reggie Wayne deserves a massive shout out, because what he's doing with these wide receivers, let's be real, down to Josh Downs, probably most of the top teams would take at least one of them. And if we don't pay Pierce, he's going somewhere top. So I just think like it's easy. I think it's easy to say the Colts are not as good as people think they are, or they're not great at getting the credit they think they are, because we're not a highlight play, because it's just consistent excellence. Like, Mahomes can throw it off his diving leg with his eyes shut, and fuck it, Travis Kelce's down there somewhere. Like,
yeah.
But as I'm sure you guys will agree, I'm sure even Andy Reid, like the likes of Andy Reid, would agree. Coaches and coordinators and staff, and even quarterbacks, don't want them plays because they're the magic play. Like, they're the risk plays. They're the we got lucky plays. So I think what Daniel Jones is doing, what people just can't seem to grasp, is he's just giving it to the open person. Like, it's that simple. He's just giving it to the open person. And I'm monologuing a little bit here, so I'll wrap it up.
No, you're fine.
He's thriving in a position that's designed to be the superstar, designed to be the iconic position, designed to be the guy. He's thriving because he's not trying to be the guy. And he's happy to do that. Like, that takes a lot of self-sacrifice to say, do you know what? No, it's not about me. It's about the team. And I even thought his comment to that pundit or whatever was not, I'm a great quarterback, look at me. It was, well, you didn't know about the team.
Yeah, I took it that way too. It did not feel like a flex of him, it more felt like, you kind of took no notice of this team. And I've seen like, quite a few pieces of kind of content today on, what people think his contract could be and stuff like that. And it's sort of in the kind of, 45 to 50 million range. And, like, I don't take anything away from Daniel. He's played really well, but, this roster can't stay the way it is if we go to a 50 million pound quarterback. It just can't. And I'm really hopeful that Ballard doesn't kind of sign us up for that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm still not quite there yet. I think like, Ed's description earlier of those elite QBs, and I think it's hypocritical of me to say, because it's almost become normalized now to pay your quarterback 50 million a year. But, the ones who are genuinely on that money are the ones who are making it to the championship games every year, or in the Super Bowl every year. Some more content as well. This hit in my kind of chain a lot is to do with AD Mitchell. A lot of Colts fans seem to believe that, his time has been served now. And I think this is because Josh Downs and Ashton Doolin were on the injury report this week. So, maybe there's that. And Harrison, I don't know if you've seen this, but I'm hoping I can make your evening here. Jalen Jones has been a limited participant in both practices. So
I saw it, mate, and I know he's not going to be playing this game, but we shouldn't need him to play this game. But
I really hope they don't suit him up. Like, no disrespect. Like, it is.
No, don't rush it. Just don't rush it.
Struggling Titans team. Like, they should give him another week of rest.
Yeah, this is who I expect our 11th and 12th corner to be doing all right against.
Just quickly before we move on, just on the Daniel Jones contract, because I think it's an interesting point, Nathan. I think you're absolutely right. We can't pay DJ 50 odd million a year, and Alec Pierce and Nick Cross and Brazier. Yeah, it can't happen. Even in the cap mental gymnastics that they all seem to be able to do. I think that's probably going to be the most interesting point, because you mentioned there about the elite quarterbacks, obviously Josh Allen being one and Patrick Mahomes. They obviously are well remunerated. Let's not kid ourselves. But I think they also took sort of team friendly deals on the basis that, yes, they got paid a lot, but they're not so bothered about being the sort of number one paid QB if it means they can retain more talent around them on the basis that, you know, as good as Josh Allen might be, we're seeing it now with the Buffalo Bills to a certain extent. He can't do it all on his own. You know, you do need to have people around you to make it work. So yeah, I hope there is an element of that. The sort of the romantic in me hopes that that's the case, but the cynic in me and the business side of me says, you know, these guys want to get paid, and I can't really resent them because they're the ones going out there and doing it. But I think it's definitely one to watch, because I'll be honest, I thought going into the year, if Daniel Jones solidifies himself as number one, we might be able to get some sort of like Baker, Sam Darnold type sort of 35 million deal. I thought, you know, that would probably work. But if he carries on playing the way he's playing, those numbers they're not gonna touch the sides, are they? Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I think like they've got to be realistic as well, and I hope they are realistic at the contract table of like, who else is going to pay you this money? You know, it's probably going to be like at the table will be ourselves, Oakland. I mean, they're going to have to get out of Geno's deal because I think that's guaranteed 2 elements.
They drafted a quarterback, no? Did they?
No, they got Kenny Pickett as their number 2, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like at that level, you know, 40, 45, 50, I don't think many teams are going to be at the bargaining table. Unless maybe he goes to and wins a bowl, which is not me getting ahead of myself. I'm just thinking that's like, you know, if he does that, then why would there only be 2 teams at the table, right? Like, surely everybody's got to think about it.
I think that's a brilliant point. Brilliant point.
Just quickly on the contracts, the two ways I see it is, this is mad because we don't know, right? Because this is not Jim Irsay anymore. So we don't know how Charlie and her sisters operate or how they want to operate. We don't know their relationship with Ballard. I assume it's a good one. They seem like great people and they seem like great owners so far. So we don't, as fans, we just don't know the intricacies behind the scenes there. And I also think Daniel Jones, he strikes me as the type of guy, as someone who'd be like, do you know what? Yeah, the Colts give me a shot when no one else would.
Let's hope, mate.
So I mean, you hope. Well, you just. I'm not naive enough to be like he should obviously take a team friendly deal because life's short. Go and make your money. You deserved it. To get to the league and get a big contract, that well done. But you know, you don't. Maybe he might want to settle down in Indiana. I don't know. Family. If he just goes, do you know what? I'm happy. A 4-year deal, 25 million a year, whatever. You know, like you say, a team friendly deal, because we've been the team that has shown him that faith. And if you don't go and back your quarterback who, touch wood, has got you deep into the playoffs or even a Super Bowl, where does that leave your head coach? Where does that leave everyone else? Yeah, go on. Ed.
Yeah, I think his relationship with Shane Steichen's quite important in all of this as well. To be honest with you, I think I think you're absolutely right, and I know that's what you were getting around saying until I jumped in. I think that's going to play a key part in it, because, like Nathan said, there may be other teams come to the table, but you know, and look, money talks. Money talks.
Yeah.
It's one of those, isn't it? We will just have to wait and see. We knew this when we signed him on a 1-year rental. It works for both, doesn't it? But as in, we could both get out of it if it doesn't work. But the flip side is,
reason, isn't it?
But it also, the flip side is, if he does ball out like he has been, the price goes up and it could be unaffordable. So that's the risk you take, isn't it? So let's just, you know, Justin Fields might be available next summer, chap. So, you know, there's always that option.
Kyler Murray, Nathan.
Kyler Murray, yeah, that's it.
Boys, please don't.
We should make a list of quarterbacks for Nathan next year.
I know it's Halloween soon, and I honestly think that's my biggest Halloween fear. Anyway, sorry.
As a child, and you're giving some candies that small, but so the defense then, and I found this a lot, right? And I think it is true. and we're probably guilty of doing it too, but isn't it funny how nobody mentions the injury on the winning team? Nobody mentions that, do they? It's always the losing team that have injuries, not the winning team that have injuries. Because, man, are we just depleted so badly on defense? So I was looking at stats earlier, and obviously the big talking point when we drafted Latu was Gerard Verse was still on the board. So we've obviously talked a lot about who would you rather have, who's done better, who's had the better breakout. And I think due to optics and stuff, probably a lot of people would say Gerard Verse has been the better option. But I was looking at stats. I think he has 3 more sacks than Latu and 1 more forced fumble. But obviously, Latu has 2 interceptions. This is over the career.
Yeah.
Latu has 2 interceptions on that. So, I'll put it to you guys. Did we make the right choice?
I think a big thing with Latu, boys, is his age. Do you know how old he is?
No, I just
21, 22,
23, 24.
So, talk amongst yourselves a second, because I need to fact check, because I'm about to stay here.
How old do you think Latu is, Harrison? Because I've got an idea.
I just assumed the usual 23, 20. He's been in.
Yeah, I've gone a bit young there, 21, 22 actually. Yeah.
So he's 24.
Okay.
And it's year 2. So obviously he's going to be 25 next year. 26 at the point of. Obviously they'll have the 5th-year option if they want to take it. 26 in year 4, 27 in year 5. Like, I think that's the scary thing with Latu, and probably he feels that too. Yeah. I think this is a great debate, but I think the biggest catalyst is how well coached the Rams are. Like, if Verse goes somewhere else, is he, as kind of incredible so fast that I really don't know. And I think a good example is the Chargers, the Falcons. Obviously, they get Jalen Walker on one side. What was the name of the other guy?
James Pierce
Jr. on one side. Like, have they really set the league on fire right now? No. Verse did. Do you know what I mean? Verse literally did last year. Do you know what? I'm going to keep it simple before I pass over to Ed. We did draft the right guy because Latu got a massive horseshoe tattooed on his arm like a week after he got drafted. So, yeah, what do you think, Ed?
I think it's difficult to say. I think it's a really interesting point, though, Harrison. I think it's one that we should maybe keep an eye on because Gerard Verse obviously has got a lot of media attention. I don't know, again, if this comes back to the point we keep sort of labouring, which is he's playing in LA, Latu's playing in Indianapolis. Sometimes I think that does seem to play a part. Now, don't get me wrong, Gerard Verse is a very, very good player. I was fortunate enough, obviously, as you know, to see him in the flesh on Sunday. He is as impressive on the field as he is on the TV. I think he's an excellent player. But I would suggest it's probably a bit too early to say definitively because I haven't been unhappy with Latu.
Yeah.
I think Latu's coming along fine. I think the problem maybe that we have is the expectation because of where Latu was drafted versus where, and I think that does play a part. The higher that you drafted, the more pressure to perform, and that's just a fact of life, isn't it? So maybe the expectation level on Latu is higher than on Verse. He's been allowed to sort of go into LA, working for one of the smartest coaches in the NFL. I think it's fair to say, in a good young defense. So I'm happy with Latu. I'd have been happy with Gerard Verse. I think that, I'm gonna defer to Nathan's point. Latu got a horseshoe tattooed on him, man. He's a Colt for life. So yeah, Latu all day. Yeah, I don't know why we need to go any further on it. Good question, mate.
And also, I always butcher his name, but the young D tackle who's doing quite well for the Colts.
Adebore.
Double A.
Yeah.
A.
Double A.
Double A. Yeah, we'll call him Double A. Yeah, yeah.
Do yourself.
I heard an interesting idea from Rick Venturi, and for those who don't know, he's ex-coach in the game, ex-player, but he does all podcasting with the Colts on their station. He flaunted the idea, especially against the Titans and how he thinks they're going to play, of sticking Double A next to Grove and potentially putting DeForest Buckner on the edge. And at first, when I heard it, I was like, "But why would you do that? Because you lose." But I get it to an extent. Like, you don't necessarily need him as an all-and-out linebacker rusher, but if you wanted to throw something different at Cam Watt, like, I just wondered what you guys thought about that. I thought that's just like, I know. I was going to say Lou Anarumo won't do that, but Ashton Doolan had a go.
Yeah, I was going to say Lou Anarumo would drop Buckner into as a defensive back. You know, like never double guess what he's going to second guess what he's going to do. I quite like the idea of that. You know, moving your tackle around, moving them around, because I also think that Neville Gallimore's done quite well since he's come into the team as well. Yeah. I think that we've got quite a solid rotation, and I think that it probably. Look, we saw Buckner get home twice on Sunday, didn't we?
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. A bit like we've been saying about the offense, where you can't cover everybody. If you're lining up three monsters and you're moving them around a bit more, yeah, I think that's quite. I think that's you wouldn't want to be doing it all the time, obviously, because you miss him down the middle. But yeah, I'm not against that.
I don't know, boys, because I think Max Crosby's going to be taking snaps there. So, no, I think it'd be cool. I'd like it for like the odd, the odd play. I wouldn't like it for like a set expectation.
I wouldn't like it in against like the Eagles or something.
Yeah,
but against the Titans O line, that's just struggling to hell, and the Titans team that's just I feel sorry for the fans, not the franchise, that is in just hell at the minute. Like, it'd be worth like an experiment to just like, okay, so that didn't work, we'll cross that off, or that did work, we'll keep that in mind for a game-changing drive in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, something like that I think would be awesome, and how exciting I guess it'd be to watch as well. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'd be remiss to not talk about some of the potential moves that Indy might make. I am still, obviously we talked about in the group chat, but anybody listening isn't going to see that. I'm very much still in the camp of we'll bring in an edge. I don't think we'll bring in a corner. And some of the names that I keep consistently seeing, Jalen Phillips or Bradley Chubb from Miami, Arden Key from Tennessee. Obviously Trey Hendrickson's a name you see a lot. But the most consensus one is what Ed mentioned last week. Will McDonald, something from Jets. Yeah. Apparently available for a 5th round pick.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll do it in a heartbeat. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
so, yeah, I mean, I guess my question to you two is, who would you bring in?
Who would I bring in, or who do I think Chris Ballard's bringing in?
Give me both. Give me who you bring in, and then who you think Ballard will bring in.
Okay, right. So to bring it down, you're not going to like the camp I'm in there, boys. I don't think Chris Ballard's doing the deal.
None at all.
I don't think he's doing the deal at all.
I think that's on the cards. I think that's fair.
I'd jump to his defense a little bit. I think he's in the horrible place of these are injuries, not shortcomings.
Mm-hmm.
And you go and get a Bradley Chubb, but then you get 15 players back off in the injury reserve or whatever it is, and it's like, do you then just cut the promising young talent who then goes off to the Patriots and becomes a Super Bowl winning like linebacker in Hunter Wally or whatever? But it's just, I think he's in a tough spot of, do you stick or twist? And yes, it is harder than it seems. If you're the other way around and you're looking to build it, if you're the 1-6 Titans, yeah, you got to make a move because you need to start building a franchise. But the other way around, it's a little bit different. Who would I bring in? Oh, God. It's tough because I really don't know what we're wanting. That's the tough thing because I just don't know where I'll go. Go on, Ed. You go and I'll see if I can narrow it down.
I think it's a really interesting discussion. One more name I'm just going to throw out there just to chuck another spanner in the works, because I saw, I was looking earlier and I saw, because the Jets apparently are sort of everyone's for sale by all accounts. And I saw that Quinnen Williams might be available for a 2nd round pick.
Yeah.
Now, we don't need another defensive tackle, but for a 2nd round pick, a player of that caliber becoming available, I'd be inclined to kind of at least kick the tires on that one, if I'm being totally honest with you, because Grove and Buck ain't getting any younger. And to your last point, Harrison, we could always move them around the line if we absolutely had to. So that's an interesting one. I quite like Jalen Phillips from Miami. My concern with him is his injury record. He has had some horrendous injuries, and that worries me because obviously we all know that the Colts facility is probably the most dangerous place on the planet Earth. Players that have never had an injury before seem to get injured. So a player with his injury record would worry me. But I think talent-wise, I like what he could do because I think he can play off the edge, but he can also play sort of deeper, sort of in a linebacker role, which kind of covers 2 really big needs, and that's what I like about that role. That's probably, I'll be honest with you, Nathan, I'm with you. I'd probably be looking at that position group as my priority on the basis that I believe it's only Latu and JTT under contract after this season. I think I'm right in saying out of the edge group.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right.
So I think that is longer term. And to Harrison's point, we've got a plethora of excellent corners and defensive backs that are unfortunately unavailable. They will be back. You kind of want to see what we've got. We haven't forgotten Justin Wally. He will be back. We've got Hunter Waller, hopefully, to come back. Javarius Ward will hopefully be back this year. I'm not going to name them all, but we've got players there that can come back. If I was going to make a move at corner, I would probably again go shopping at the Jets again and look at Sauce Gardner. Like, what would the price be round there? Because I've read an excellent article earlier that said that his cap hit wouldn't actually be that much for the next few years. So again, team friendly, because that's my big concern with making a big splash trade, and which is why trade's not going to happen. That's why Max Crosby's not going to happen. It ain't going to happen because we can't afford it. We're going to have to pay a lot of people next year. We know that. So that's why players like Will McDonald, that's where I think Ballard will go, because I think he's going to look at somebody who can make an impact, but he's not going to have to. He's going to have to pay a king's ransom for. And again, that's what, Quinnen Williams is a 2nd round pick, but I believe his contract is pretty hefty. So I think that would be quite an expensive one to do. But that would be where I would start my search there, to be honest with you. Even though we don't need a tackle, that's where I'd be looking at first. But yeah, long answer to your point, Nathan. I agree. We'll be looking at edge but I think we'll be looking at a player of a Jalen Phillips or a Will McDonald or somebody that's not going to cost. It's not going to be a blockbuster, but I think that there's a deal to be done.
Yeah, so I'm just on ESPN here looking at the top trade rumors. Yeah, I was just looking at an interesting name there, Logan Wilson, linebacker from the Bengals. From what I was just reading, I mean, the middle of our field is always open. Like we're playing 4 deep safety sometimes. But I don't know. Is the honest truth. I don't know, because I don't know how we bring someone in that's truly a game changer, and like we alluded to earlier, still keep paying everyone.
Yeah,
this is where sort of Chris Ballard's process is coming back to bite him, because everyone's coming up to the point where they are developed now. and they are worth the money you paid. So, you've got to hit somewhere. But anyway.
Sorry, just quickly, what would you do, Nathan? I don't think. What would you go with?
Through there, didn't he?
No, I think if I was doing it, I think if it's true that McDonald is a 5th round pick, I'd do that. I like that we're linked with Tariq Woolen or Reek Woolen from the Seahawks, but I am the sitting chair of the Justin Wally fan club, so why would we need Reek in when Wally's back next year? And what do I think Ballard will do? I think he'll do something, but it's going to be the cheapest. It kind of like the film Moneyball. That's the type of move I think we're going to make. It's going to be cheap but efficient, and it maybe be efficient in an ugly way, not like as you said, Ed, like a big splash move that sets the league on fire. I think it'll be almost like who did we sign from the Rams? You just said his name.
Neville Gallimore.
Neville Gallimore. Like, it wasn't a pretty signing, but he's looked great when he's gone on the field. So yeah, that'd be my answer.
Yeah.
And I think the Rams are a good example, right? Because they proved that you can trade away your picks. You obviously you don't want to sell. You don't want to be pulling God bless him, Jim Irsay sort of trade where you send everything and a dog to pick up a running back over the hill. But the Rams have proved that as long as you go the right way about it, then yes, you can trade away them 1st round picks. And I would trust Chris Ballard to do that, right? This is just not going after the shiny new toy, like we say. But enough of the Colts, because apparently there's other teams in the AFC South. Not that you'd know that by looking at the divisional table. Shall we start with? We'll leave the Titans to last because we're playing them on Sunday. So let's start with. We're just going order. Let's start with the Jaguars. Ed, I think you're best place to talk about the London game, but from all accounts, weather and football from them, abysmal. And pricing.
Yeah. Abysmal and I think you've just summed it up there, mate. We can probably just leave it there. I was really surprised at how poor the Jags were, if I'm being honest with you, because they've actually played quite well this year, and they've had some noticeable results. They went and won in San Francisco. They beat the Chiefs. So I was expecting them to give the Rams a good game, but
you all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, still there. I think me
internet's going.
Yeah, it's just
you're still there, mate. Don't worry.
I can. I don't know if you can still hear me or not.
Yeah,
we can.
Yeah,
all good.
I was going to say it was just a poor performance all round, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go on.
One thing that's really shocked me with the Jaguars is Brian Thomas Jr. Like any fantasy guys listening, he's like in such high demand, and if you've got him in a dynasty league, you feel very good about that. But like week in, week out, to see this insane showing or this kind of showing that makes you think, is he scared or something? Like, what's going on? But yeah, the Jags, I think, are definitely going to be the ones who will be with us the whole way, personally, in my opinion, because I think I've seen some good stuff from them. I just can't believe that Lawrence is on the money he's on. When you watch him play, you just think to yourself, what have they paid him all this money for?
I have a theory on that. I think what happened was his agent went into the negotiating room with, is it Shad Khan? Is that the owner? I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's something Khan. I can't remember his first name.
Yeah, it's the Khans, mate. Yeah.
And they've spliced up a video of Trevor Lawrence like balling out, but it's literally just footage of him against the Colts. And they've gone, oh my days, this guy's like the next Tom Brady. But they've forgotten that there's 31 other teams, or 30 other teams, I should say, actually, in the NFL. Yeah, sorry, I'm being silly. The other one I would say as well, Nathan, I was a bit disappointed with was Travis Hunter, because I was super excited to see him, because, you know, big buzz about him, Heisman Trophy winner, two-way player. But I don't really think he's done a lot on either. I know he scored his first touchdown, didn't he? But that's what, 7 games into the season?
Yeah.
7 games, you know, and from what I understand, he's played a lot of snaps on the offense as well. So it's kind of like, what are the Jags kind of looking to do with him? Because is he an out-and-out wide receiver? And in that case, was he the best wide receiver in that class? Possibly not. Or are they going to play him on defense? But they're not really playing him on defense. Do you know what I mean? It just seems like a little bit like they're still trying to figure out what to do with him. Does that make sense? Because he can't play every snap in the NFL. You said that, Harrison, all through the pre-draft. You were quite vocal on that, and you're absolutely right. So what are you doing? Is he like your wide receiver number 1? In which case, you just said no. You've got Brian Thomas Jr. So it seems like a bit of a luxury pick. Or are you going to play him as a corner? In which case, we'll play him as a corner, but you kind of not. You're playing him more. I don't really get it, if I'm being honest with you at the moment.
Well, go on.
The Jags' next games, right? I think it's really maybe important discussion just before we move on to Houston. So they're on bye. Then they host the Raiders. Then they have the Texans. Then they have the Chargers and the Cardinals. I would not want to bet how those 4 games go.
Agree.
This team, like, I think Raiders, I can't believe I'm about to say this. If there's any, LA fans on the phone, then you're going to love me here. That Raiders Jags game, it could be like 40 all. Do you know what I mean? They're both so up and down. And yeah, it's weird. I'm quite glad our games against Jacksonville, I think, are both in December. They're right towards the end of the season. I'm really glad of that. Hopefully we'll have everything in the bag by then.
Touch wood. The thing with Travis Hunter, the thing is, they've gone big on him on a novelty idea. That's always a risk. Like you alluded to, Ed, and I'm pretty sure we've all said, it's just the NFL is a sport where you can't have two-way players because it's just not fair on the player. Because let's say you're in a very important game, it comes down to the last 4 minutes, you're Travis Hunter, you've just got to pick. You've just got to pick at your own 22-yard line. Amazing. And then because you've been running backwards, you picked it off, and then Liam Cohen goes, right, we've got 3 seconds left. It's a Hail Mary. Travis Hunter, you're now wide receiver 3. You're just like, hold on a fucking minute. I've just got you this time. Like, it's not fair on him because then everyone's going, oh, he should have caught that Hail Mary. And it's like, well, he's just picked someone off. And I think it comes down to, I think he should himself, he needs to go, what do I want to do? And like you said, if he turns around and goes, well, I just want to be a wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr. and the rest of the world were going to go, well, that was a bust then, because you could have gotten him, if you think he was just a wide receiver, you could have got him in round 3. And it's just one of them. It's tough because probably not what round 3 was. He was the Heisman winner. That's.
I think he'd have made it out of the top 10, even as a receiver. Yeah. I really don't think he'd have made it out of there. But Jerry Jones would have traded up for him.
Because I think he wouldn't have made it out of the top 10 because of this idea that he's a two-way player. And it's just confusing to me that that's what you're banking on, that he could be bigger, stronger, and faster than the best wide receivers, but also bigger, stronger, and faster than the best cornerbacks in the world. Like, you know what I mean? it's crazy expectation to put on a 22-year-old. And
Yeah.
It is, boys. It is. But
yeah, but it's not our franchise, so I don't have to worry.
yeah, that's right. Are you looking at my notes, dude? That's what I was just about to say. The best thing is we didn't trade our future for this experiment. We took the best tight end in football.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Bring on Houston.
Thank you, Chicago.
And just final thing on the Jags. I'm just looking at the standings now, but their point differential is actually a negative, which for a winning record is probably not. I know they got an absolute stonking by the Rams.
Yeah, but
that probably didn't help, but that's not a good indicator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jaggy the Sons, prepare for a life of hell. On to the Houston Texans, and I think we've always been quite honest about CJ Stroud on this show. We like him, great quarterback, come in, embarrass Zaire Franklin, and EJ Speed quite a lot. So yeah, we hated him, but you can admit a good player when you got him. If I was his agent, I'd be shopping him. We're getting you out. I'm getting you out of Texas, mate. That's because you imagine CJ Stroud in New England with Vrabel, or even with us under Shane Steichen and our oil line, or I know he's not going to go to Philadelphia, but a team that has a decent oil line and a solid head coach tends to do all right. And what did we all say after the Texans draft? What the fuck were they thinking?
Yeah. We really did. And have you seen who they've got on Sunday?
No.
San Francisco. Is it going to get better? Who knows?
The thing is with the Texans, and I'm sure we've all felt this way at some point about the relative teams we support, but you think your team's good. You like to think your team's good. You're like, we are good. And then you get pummeled and you're like, oh, okay, we're not good. And you might not be a good team, but you can still have them results where you have a good day. Do you know what I'm trying to? So as a Colts fan in the previous years, I think we beat Pittsburgh, right? And we thought, yes, this is it. We're going on. And then it was just a whack to the face. No, you're not. Down. You thought your season was going to be good. And so you can have good moments in this season, which I think maybe this is a bit like the Jag season, that warp and twist how you see it. And I think that's been it with the Texans over the past couple of years, is they've had the good moments in the seasons, but they've not taken advantage of them good positions. They're not taking advantage of getting out of Deshaun Watson. Do you know what I mean? They got out of Deshaun Watson, arguably, apart from the Davis Mills season, got a great up-and-coming quarterback. They let the best tackle go. They get 15, 90-year-old running backs to try and win the game. They have 100 wide receivers, and like I say, they're just confusing.
On the running back front, though, I think if the Texans struggles keep up, I can definitely see them taking a running back early in the draft next year. And I think that'll just make them, that'll immediately move them forward. I also have them in contention of maybe getting Breece Hall, who is also apparently available for a 5th-round pick.
That's
Breece
a bargain.
from the New York Jets, of course, who kind of lit the league on fire in 2 years and then has had a glass knee and has done quite literally nothing this year. So if I'm Houston, I'm sending a 5th to try out Breece Hall and see what he can do. Because as you say, Harrison, Chubb and Mixon, you're not signing them both. No way you're signing them both. They're too old and they'll want too much money. You'll sign one of them, of course you would. They're vet players, good players. But yeah, it's just not really gone as expected with the Texans. I think, preseason we kind of all had them second or first, predictions,
Right.
and it's just really not gone that way, is it? And do I predict them to be this poor all season? No, I really don't. If I have a look at their next four, I'm pretty sure they've got to play the Titans twice. I don't know, mind. They've got the Niners straight into Denver, straight into Jacksonville, straight into Tennessee, straight into Bills on a short week.
That's a tough stretch.
And then us straight after. Yeah, who knows? But I think we're maybe underselling Houston, and we should probably talk about them more on the next episode. But it just hasn't really worked out, does it? And I think it probably all starts at the line.
Yeah.
They've just not fixed that line as we probably all thought they would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So go on, Ed.
No, I was going to say their defense is still pretty damn good, though. That's the one thing working in their favour at the moment. Their defense is very, very good. But I agree with Nathan. They haven't got a run game. And if your quarterback's struggling, one of the best ways to help him out is to give him a decent back to hand it off to. And he hasn't got that option. Nick Chubb's been one of the best backs I've seen. I've always liked Nick Chubb. But glass knee, Nathan, about Breece Hall, God knows what Nick Chubb's knees are made of, because
yeah,
the poor geezer's just been absolutely obliterated, hasn't he, down the years. I was a little bit worried when they signed. Not worried, but it was a little bit of a when he signed, it's a bit like, if they can get a little bit of juice out of him, that's a good signing. But it's not worked.
No, you always want to be under the age curve, really. I was reading an article on this. God knows who it was, but I was proper nerding out. But somebody's worked out that it's not so much the age, it's the snap curve. Right. So it tends to be when it gets to a player who's played so many snaps, that's when stuff starts going downhill rather than the age. It was interesting. Not that not that we have 5 hours to go through that right now.
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, just the Texans, man. I don't think they're going to be atrocious, by any means. I pin them to finish above the Jaguars because I think, like we said, defense is good and they do have star power. Like it is there. It's just, can they click it? But CJ Stroud must be frustrated as hell.
Hopefully not. Hopefully they can't click, but
Yeah. Onto the upcoming team on Sunday, the 1-6 coachless Titans. I was quite confident again about this game, and then something just keeps flashing up in my head, and I remembered what it was. It was Jeff Saturday winning a game versus were they the Las Vegas Raiders? No, Oakland Raiders. Sorry, fucking hell, it's all a blur. Can't remember against the Raiders, I believe it was. I was just like, we could have had CJ Stroud. Thanks, Jeff Saturday. But then
we wouldn't have Danny Dance.
Yeah,
Indiana Jones. Sorry, yeah.
Hindsight, but no, it's listen. Divisional games, everything goes out the window. I look at this game, just win. I don't care how it is, just win. That for me, that's the point of the season we're in right now. This part of the season, just win the games. Put them to bed, and it would be a third straight season sweep for the Colts over the Titans if we manage it. But more on the Titans. I feel sorry for their fans. I really do, because your second season head coach is useless, but you keep him for 6 more games just to see what he's got. I don't know. Your quarterback that you've taken is struggling hard because he hasn't got an O-line, and he's still stuck in the college mode. The job of the head coach is to take a player out of that and put him in the NFL mode. He's still, I know we can rave about excellent plays like we did with Anthony Richardson, the 67-yard bomb to Pierce. You know, everyone raved about Cam Ward crossfield into the end zone. And just as someone who's seen it before, it's not sustainable. So I do feel for him a bit because he's in a no-win situation at the minute. But to be honest, if you were my quarterback and you started calling me arse and I was the left guard, maybe somebody does get through. You know, so who wants to have a go at the Titans and try and crack them?
I mean, I've got limited things to say on the Titans. I'd say when we played them earlier in the year, I was amazed at how poorly coached they were. That, you know, not to labour over a game that we've already discussed in depth, but it was just really poor. Cam Ward to me, the last few times that I've watched the sort of the highlights of the Titans games, has looked a little bit overwhelmed and maybe a little bit now, because when he first came into the league, it was like the Titans are crap, but he's actually looking all right. He's obviously made a few mistakes, but you'd expect that from a rookie, and especially a rookie in a poor team. But you look like there's a player there. Last few weeks, he's looked really like it's all becoming a bit too much. Like it's overwhelmed him slightly, and it's like actually this is becoming a bit of a problem. I mean, that was it. He basically dropped the ball, didn't he, against the Patriots? Yeah. Like, I mean, it was bad. So that it's one of those games, like you said, Harrison. There's nothing in the world. If the Colts play like they've been playing all year, it should be over by the end of the first quarter. It ain't going to be like that because it's the Colts. It's a divisional game, and it never goes like that. However, I know none of us really talk about gambling, which is, you know, I'm not a gambler at all, but you look at the spread of games, don't you? Mm-hmm. The Colts are minus 14.5 favourites, I saw. Yeah. They are favoured to win this game by, that's 3 scores, essentially. Yeah. That's massive. When was the last time you can remember the Colts being favoured by that much going into a game?
I can't.
And I think that tells you, go on, Nathan, you look like you can remember.
I think the first meeting we were like plus 10 or plus 11. Sorry, minus 10.
Yeah.
Something like that. And that obviously covered.
Yeah.
But no, I'm with you, dude. It's a sick feeling. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, not at all. I think that's just kind of like where we are with this game now. I think that tells you if you need to. The Titans, I heard people saying before the year this team could win 8-9 games, and I was thinking, like, what have you seen that I potentially haven't? And I think, Nathan, you can go through it in more detail now, but I think it's a case of, have they got anybody fit to play on Sunday as well? Like, they're not only are they they're losing players. So yeah, go on, man.
Yeah, the injury report does not make good reading if you're a Titans fan right now. I'm just going to refresh it because I'm hoping they've put Thursday's details on there. Bear with me. And I feel like I somewhat covered this off earlier, so I'm not, just out of respect, I'm not going to kind of bash on them again.
Yeah.
This is a bad team. But let's go through the injury report. Let's go through some key names. So Arden Key, DNP yesterday, limited today. Tony Pollard didn't practice yesterday, full participant today. Ridley hasn't practiced at all this week. Jeffrey Simmons hasn't practiced at all this week. L'Jarius Sneed hasn't practiced at all this week. You know, that's kind of the players that I guess Titans fans probably want to step up and are just not doing it. I was talking to a pal of mine on Tuesday. If I'm the Titans, I'm shipping Jeffrey Simmons for a first round pick next year, hopefully 2 even. I don't think they get 2 for him, but they get at least 1. And then I'm saying to my fans, you know, we got it wrong. We've made a major mistake, and maybe give them refunds or something on their tickets. And then I'm taking 2 offensive linemen in the draft next year. This team is not going anywhere until they give Cam Ward, I guess, a legitimate coach. I really don't think they should go for the hot young hire next year. They should go for a kind of established coach, and they need an O-line. I really, really think that, I mean, I'll probably lead into our predictions, but I have us scoring 38 on Sunday.
I mean, I'll get us into our predictions, but just before I do, the Titans, I mean, I would even, as well as what Nathan said, I'd bench Cam Ward. And not because I think he's bad, but what's the point of letting him get hit every week for a nothing season? You know, nobody's actively tanking. Don't do it before you play us, because I don't want to play a solid backup QB, because
who is their backup QB?
Let's have a look.
I couldn't tell you what a solid backup QB can do to the Indianapolis Colts, but I would, if I'm the Titans, I'm protecting my future investment. I'm sitting in
Brandon Allen.
Oh,
I don't think we need to be too scared of that guy if he got on the field.
I mean, there's backup QBs, and then there's some guy off the street, isn't there?
Jeez, right.
But yeah, I just to save him, protect him, because what's the point? Just, you know, let's say they have a miracle, right? Let's say the Titans go on a miracle run. They win out. They go like 9-6 or whatever, 10-6. That wouldn't work, Harrison. Fuck me. They go 10-7. There we go. I can do maths. They win the division. They lose in the first round of the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
Like, is it worth it when, like Nathan said, you could trade away Jeffrey Simmons, get a first, and you could have potentially the first overall pick?
Oh, Legere Sneed got put on IR 3 hours ago.
He's just scared of Jonathan Taylor, mate.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So expect Pittman and Warren to potentially cause some harm on Sunday.
So unless you have anything else, Ed, we'll get into predictions.
No, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first? Who wants to jinx it first?
Go on, I will. Colts 38, Titans 10. I'm going for 5 touchdown performance with a field goal sprinkled in. Ed?
I am torn between this horrible feeling of so much optimism that we should really be smashing the granny out of these versus consistent cynicism of being a Colts supporter that doesn't make me want to get too far ahead of myself. I think we'll go over 30 again. I would say 35-10 or 7. 35-7. We'll go 35-7.
Yeah, it's time. Thanks everyone for watching. We have been Southbound, and join us after the Indianapolis Colts 62, Titans 10.